Swindon, a town in Wiltshire, England, with a history dating back to the Saxon period. It became a major centre for industry during the Industrial Revolution, particularly with the establishment of the Great Western Railway Works. In the 20th century, Swindon continued to grow and develop, becoming famous for creating the world's most mental roundabout. Today, it remains a thriving town with a diverse economy and cultural heritage. And it's in this diverse heritage where we meet the two young men that are the focus of today's story, named Maxwell Spencer and Tommy Mason. They had grown up in Swindon and had been playing football since before they could remember. Maxwell and Tommy were very different children. Maxwell was the son of a famous footballer, Derek Spencer, who played for Swindon during their one season in the Premier League in the 90s. Maxwell grew up with a comfortable lifestyle, living in a huge country house in the village of Womborough on the outskirts of town. Maxwell's name was enough to get him through the door at Swindon Town's academy, although even at a young age he showed an astute technical ability on the ball with an eye for a killer pass. Tommy, by contrast, grew up on the notorious council estate of Pen Hill in the town's north. The middle of 7 children by 3 different dads, Tommy had to fight for everything he had in life. Tommy was a fighter though, brave and hardworking. All mental abilities that made him a standout performer on the pitch, where he was spotted by a Swindon Town scout and ended up with an invitation to the academy at 10 years old. Despite being teammates playing as central midfielders, Maxwell and Tommy often clashed on the pitch. Maxwell accused Tommy of being too physical and lacking in technical ability, while Tommy criticised Maxwell for being lazy and not putting in enough effort. Such was the contrast between their playing styles, working together on the pitch became almost impossible. Their disagreements often escalated and they even came to blows occasionally. The coaches tried to intervene and get them to work together, but it seemed like their rivalry was too intense to be resolved. The tension on the pitch was often a side effect to what was going on off the pitch. They could find little common ground with each other. Tommy felt that Maxwell's chances were handed to him on a silver platter and he would be nowhere without his father's name. Maxwell thought of Tommy as beneath him and once accused Tommy of stealing his Rolex. This event caused a complete breakdown of their chances of working together, and they were both eyeing moves away from the Swindon Town Academy to be rid of each other once and for all. So desperate were their teammates, they decided to make one last effort to get both players to stay and work together. And at the end of season party, it would be a huge team bonding event where the players could let their hair down and try and find a way to put all the bad blood behind them. The party, however, was hijacked after being advertised on Snapchat by one of the other players, and within a few hours, Maxwell and Tommy were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Little did they know, a man called Gary Waters, an avid Swindon Town fan and leader of the Ultras, saw his opportunity to prevent either player from leaving his beloved club. Gary had ties to organised crime within the town and arranged to infiltrate the party with Class A drugs and illegal weapons. He planned to have both Tommy and Maxwell photographed as part of his blackmail plot. The party quickly got out of hand and a huge brawl occurred where sadly 2 men ended up losing their lives. Gary, seizing the opportunity, got Tommy and Maxwell out of the party before the police could arrive, but not before gathering enough evidence to prove that they were there. He told them that if they wanted any football career at all, they would have to sign long-term contracts with Swindon and find a way to work together in order to take Swindon back up the leagues. If they disagreed or broke their agreement, Gary would take his evidence to the police and have them charged for fleeing a crime scene and perverting the course of justice, effectively ending their playing careers. Gary Waters was assigned to be their agent and had contracts drew up for an unprecedented 15 years that would prevent them from being able to move to bigger clubs to realise their potential elsewhere. But they were now firmly in the clutches of Gary, and it wasn't only their careers that were under threat. Gary told both boys that their families were being closely watched and will pay the price if they refuse to sign and see out their deals with the club. They were left with no choice but to sign the contracts and continue playing for Swindon Town for the foreseeable future. But how far can they go with Swindon Town? Can they take their team up the leagues together, or would their mutual hatred of one another prevent them from working as a cohesive unit? Well, we will find out in the story of Forced Allegiances. So welcome to Forced Allegiances. As always, thanks for joining me. It's massively appreciated. Make sure you do all the good stuff. Hit the thumbs up, comment, become a patron. That would be massive for me. Subscribe if you're new and hit the bell and you'll never miss anything I do. But thank you for your view, you beautiful, beautiful person, you. And thank you to Lee Greenshields, aka Greeno, as you know, very good friend of mine. He wrote this story. I've made 40 of these, around 40 over the last few years, and I've wrote every single one. But Greeno's dipped his toe in. I liked it. I've been sent a few in the past. Yeah, but this one I think is good, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it. So thank you to him. And we're going to be starting the story in Swindon, where Greeno's from, his beloved Swindon town, his second team. He is a Blackburn fan. Following the stories of Maxwell and Tommy, two young midfielders who've got the potential to be absolute world star central midfielders, very different players though, who hate each other. He's made them hate each other in the game. Obviously they got in a bit of trouble, not their own fault, but they've in it, and they've signed massive long-term deals with Swindon, and we're going to see, can they work together? Swindon have got nothing else. He's not improved the finances, nothing. It's a bog standard Swindon with two very good central midfielders who hate each other. But can that be enough to take Swindon up into the league? So we're going to jump forward in this video around 10 years. We'll look at him at the peak, and then we'll look at him at the end of the careers, because he set some transfers up where they might have a rivalry sort of towards the end of the career as well, and we'll just see how it all pans out. Now, before I get into it anymore, hopefully you've seen my other story from a few days ago called The Great Escape. Check it out if you haven't. And I've got another story which I was going to bring out after I come back from France in like 2 weeks, but I've progressed and I'm very happy, and I think it's going to come out a couple of days after this. So yeah, and I can't wait to share it with you. Seriously, it's called Wonder Woman. It's not going to be what you think. I really enjoy putting it together. So anyway, for now, we're here with the Greeno story. I can't wait. Let's get into it, because I don't know anything. I've not done the database either. So we're going to start right here with Maxwell Spencer, the son of a former Swindon Town legend and Premier League player who's had a life of pretty much privilege. He's had a good life, better than most. He's a midfield centre / DM. English, 18 years old. Very skillful. Apparently technical. He's got, good technique already, good first touch. He's got a lot of flair, a lot of natural fitness. Now, some of you may not know this. I've done this in my videos. I've done it where I've locked a player in and made him play till they're 70 years old. If you put a future transfer in place, they can't leave. So they are locked in. As you can see, Maxwell Spencer's got a future transfer to join LAFC in the MLS. Wow. In 2037. So we've got 15 years. He can use both his feet. I mean, he could be a great player. He could have been a great player. He still could be a great player, but he's got to play for 15 years with his arch enemy at Swindon. This is his information, and I like that, Lee. I didn't give you too much info, but he's put a little detail in there. Gary Waters is actually an agent. Media description, young midfielder. He's very ambitious. He's outspoken. He thinks he's it, to be fair. Looking forward to moving clubs, apparently. In 15 years, mate. Bloody hell, he can speak basic Italian. Who knew? And of course, he's going to be starting his career in League 2. I love stuff like this. I can't wait to see, because I don't know anything. All I've done is the graphics for it. He sent me the story. I built the graphics around it for the story, and then he just sent me all the files. So I'm in this for you. I don't know how anything turns out. Next up, it's Tommy Mason. Had a tough upbringing on a council estate, Pen Hill, apparently, in Swindon. Hard working player though. He's never had anything given to him. He's had to work his tits off to get it. He's also 18 years old. His mentals look really strong. He's got a lot of stamina as well. Driven. I like it. Like a lot. He too has Gary Waters, the Swindon Town ultra gangster, as his agent. Be interested to see if they keep him as an agent. He can speak basic Portuguese. Don't know why. But yeah, can they do this? Because they might not. I don't know. I mean, can just having two really good players who hate each other in your engine room drive this club up, or are they going to spend 15 years bouncing around League 1, League 2 with Swindon? And here he is, Gary Waters. Waters is known to prefer his clients to remain at their current club, whilst also being regarded as a very impatient negotiator. He's an arsehole, isn't he? He is an arsehole. But he saw what the club had, didn't want to lose it, put a plan together to keep him there. And that's what he's done. So having these two young players has definitely, probably, I'm guessing, pushed Swindon up in the eyes of the bookies. They are predicted to be third this year. Are they anyway? I don't know. I like the idea that these kids are helping out with that. And we'll find out if they can do it. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to say I'm building a Bootyverse this year. I've done it before. I quite like the idea of it. Each story will be interconnected within the database. So of course I've only done one story so far on FM23, and that was with John Kang in The Great Escape, if you haven't watched it already. And then my next one, which again I don't think you're gonna fully get what it's about. I hope you don't. My next story after this one, you're going to actually be able to be involved in. You'll be able to have a go at that one yourself, but I'm just building it on top of each other. So John Kang is in this universe. When I do the next story, that'll get added to the universe, and so on and so on. And we might see all these little stories interlink, and I might get other story ideas out of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I'm going to go away on my holiday to France and hopefully come up with some great ideas when I get back. So then we're going to jump forward 10 years. They'll be 28 years old. They'll still be at Swindon, and we'll see what's going on. Will Jody Morris still be the manager? I didn't know he was the manager. Is he still the manager? Game's old now, innit? They've got Charlie Austin as well, and I didn't know that until I found it on a graphic for the story. Well, here we are. It's now the 17th of June, 2032, and Swindon Town are, in fact, a Premier League team. And you've got to remember, he's not done anything else but given these two young players who hate each other in the engine room in midfield. And it must have helped, because I've never seen Swindon in the Premier League. Well, I have in real life. When I was a wee boy, they had that 1 year, didn't they? Didn't they have Glenn Hoddle, player manager, something like that? So if you move over to the general page, and you may have noticed already that Tommy Mason is not only the captain, he's their key player. I bet Maxwell Spencer's chomping at the bit. I bet he's fuming, foaming at the mouth at that, but he hates it. His arch rival being the #1 top dog. But we're going to have a quick look at the graph while we're here. It looks like they finished 6th, win the playoffs in League 2, got into League 1, finished 6th. Obviously didn't win the playoffs, but they finished runners-up the next year. Got into the Championship, finished 4th. Actually got into the Premier League, rock bottom. Then they had an 8th, a 6th, and 7th. Quite nice. In the Championship, and then they've just finished 2nd, and they're now in the Prem. What a time to jump in. And let's check out Maxwell Spencer first. Obviously can play as a defensive midfielder, a midfielder. He's got 72 caps for England, so it hasn't harmed his England career. Look at his wages. He's lost a fortune. Maybe he'll make it up later in life. Probably not in the MLS, but we'll see. But look at his technique, his first touch. He's a great player. He just doesn't work hard for the team. He can't jump. He's only 5'11". He's not very brave, but he's still obviously a very good player. I mean, and he's put some games in. Some absolute games. Look at that. Wow. So they're actually in the Premier League. They've had a season in the Premier League, not just got to the Premier League. His average rating took a hit there, but he's done alright, hasn't he? 28 goals, 78 assists. On to Tommy, club captain and key player, and look at him. Look at his mentals. Wow. Now, obviously, Lee did tell me he's given the same potential, but he's obviously given them different character traits depending on their personality. And he's done really, really well. He's got no technique. His first touch is shocking. His passing is okay, but he can tackle, he works hard, his position's great, he's off the ball, he's determined, his decision making, his concentration, he's brave, he's aggressive on that ball, he's physical as well, and he's elite. And he has 81 caps, so yeah, Tommy Mason is coming out on top. And again, his career, played a ton of games, looks like he's missed a few, maybe had an injury, because he's only played 30 games in the Premier League. And yeah, I did miss it, because I've not done it. Sometimes, you know, with this, I'll look into it. And I'm quite excited because I don't know what's going to happen. But obviously they've had that year in the Premier League and they're now going back down because they finished 19th. Bit of a yo-yo. Hopefully they don't spend 3 years in the Championship. Hopefully they can get back. And these years in the Premier League might give them a bit of money to build the rest of the team around these two players who they now have only got for another 5 years. And Tommy Mason still has Gary Waters. Wow. As his agent. Sometimes they get rid of him, don't they? And so does Maxwell Spencer. Maybe that was part of the contract. While you're here, I'm your agent, or I'm your agent forever. But yeah, they've done all right. I mean, Swindon, I've never seen them get anywhere near the Premier League, and they've had 2 stints in it now, but can they get back there? Right, well, now we've jumped forward to 2038. I've looked for all the save files they sent me. I was hoping I'd have a save file for just before they left. I haven't got one. I've looked at them all. This is the next one. So obviously he's had a season, or they both had a season after their moves, but we can still look at how they are at 34. And we'll see Maxwell Spencer went to LAFC on the West Coast, so he'll be playing on that side of the MLS. He's now 34 years old, 124 caps. Still looks like a good player. Obviously mentals are massive and physicals are massive on this game. I think he's the way out trump a technical player, especially for longevity, and a better player in my opinion, is a veteran midfielder. So I've highlighted the season they would have gone down into the Championship. So he spent 4 years in the Championship. He was playing every year. They had another stint in the Premier League, got relegated. So they've always been able to get him there. and then always gone back down. Look, 2 years in Championship, back in the Premier League, obviously got relegated, back in the Championship, but he did end on a high. I don't know if it was high for Swindon, but he ended his Swindon career as a Premier League player, and he's still got Gary Waters as his agent. Blimey. Over to Tommy Mason. Now, his future transfer was to go to New York City on the East Coast, and like I said, you have mentals and physicals, they'll last you a lifetime, and he still looks absolutely brilliant. He's an elite player, 133 caps for his country. And again, we know, because he would have had the same history up and down the leagues, and he's had a season there at New York. Like, he's played too much, to be fair. And he too still has Gary Waters as his agent. Let's check Maxwell Spencer's biography. Now, the 4 winners' medals that Spencer's collected during his career are the Papa John's Trophy with Swindon, and he won the Nations League with England 3 times. In terms of personal accolades, Spencer's single PFA Sky Bet League 2 Player of the Year award to his name. Alright, I mean, he's done well with England. Tommy Mason doesn't look like he has any personal accolades, but he's got 4 winners' medals as well. Papa John's Trophy and the 3 Nation Leagues. So they were playing for England at the same time, and they've won trophies with England. No World Cups or anything, but you know, pretty respectable, lots of caps, and they did really well for Swindon, who have just survived behind my head. They finished 17th. They're staying in the Premier League by 2 points. In fact, they're going to have had 2 years in the Prem. So the boys have left a couple of years ago, but they've left a legacy. I think that's the first time now. They've just survived. This was last year. They did it by 4 points, finishing 17th and 17th. But back-to-back Premier League seasons. So they've helped. So we've now jumped forward to the year 2040. This is Maxwell Spencer, who now plays for Sampdoria. He earned a decent wage, made some money later on in his career. So he didn't stay in the States. He didn't stay there for long by the looks of it. But he is just about to retire. He's going to be the first one to retire. Probably because his physicals are shot to shit. Well, first, you can see right there, he obviously went to LA, and you know, the seasons will cross over, so he played 14 games, but he did play 34 in the next year. They made a £1.4 million move to the Serie A, where he played a little bit of the season, and he's just got a full season under his belt and decided to call it a day. And no, he's not won anything with LAFC, and he didn't win anything with Sampdoria, unfortunately. Now, if we jump forward another 2 years, we can look at Tommy Mason, who his mentals and physicals have allowed him to play a little bit longer. Not only that, he didn't stay in the States either. He came to Brighton. I've not looked yet. I don't know if Brighton is still a Premier League team, but he came home to England and got 2 extra years of football. Yeah, 3 extra years. When the seasons cross over, it can mess you about a little bit. So he obviously stayed at New York for a while, and then made his $875k move to Brighton, and has played Premier League football for 3 seasons, doing well for a man of his age. Just about. And getting over a 7, scoring the odd goal. I mean, well done, Tommy Mason. Although he too never got to win anything with New York or Brighton. I mean, sending them out to the States on the other side of the country where they could meet in a final, that would have been nice. You want things like that to happen with stuff like this. It just adds to the story, but you don't know. You can't predict when you're just simulating. It would have been nice, wouldn't it? Even when coming home, getting an FA Cup with Brighton, but I think Tommy Mason's definitely come out on top out of the 2 rivals. But it was just really interesting to see that 2 players who hate each other could still drive a club playing so close together up the leagues, because you'd think that'd be a bad thing, but it obviously doesn't matter if they've got quality. It doesn't matter if they hate each other. As a Man United fan, I remember Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole would not speak to each other, but played really, really well together. But we're here now in the Premier League history, and we know from before, from previous, that Swindon managed to survive for 2 seasons. That one and that one in the Premier League, finishing 17th. But then they got relegated, and it looks like they were still in the Championship. Still in the Championship. They've come back. They love 17th. So that's this season. So the boys are now both retired, and Swindon are ending it in 2042 just about as a Premier League team. I say that's job done, boys. And it may show you can have a life of privilege. You can have all the technical ability in the world, but if you've got grit, hard work and determination, you'll come out on top. And I think Tommy Mason turned out to be the better player. He has retired a legend for Swindon, although to be fair to Maxwell, he did make the icon list. And if you're wondering about John Kang from The Great Escape, he ended up at bloody Liverpool. A bit of a different path to his story, because he did go to Germany for 3 years, but he went to Hertha Berlin. This time he goes to Dortmund. Then he made a move to Liverpool in this story. Again, this time he never left Liverpool for Real Madrid. He stayed at Liverpool. I like the idea of building all these. And like I said, the next story, Wonder Woman, that comes out, there's going to be a club. It's going to involve a club and loads of stuff. And I'm going to make that available. So you'll be able to play as that club. You'll be able to sign possibly John Kang. You'll be able to sign the two lads if you wait 15 years, which will be quite cool. You might come up against them. So yeah, thank you for watching this, and hopefully you're going to watch the next one. Can't wait to bring that one out. But mainly, thank you to Lee Greenshields, aka Greeno, great friend of mine, friend of the channel. You all know who he is by now, hopefully. For writing me a story, taking a bit of pressure off me. It's allowed me to develop my next story and get a little bit extra out for you before I go on holiday for 10 days to France. So yeah, thanks Lee, and thank you mainly to you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it because it was like, didn't know what was going on. Quite interesting. Make sure you drop a thumbs up, get involved in the comments, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, you'll never miss anything I do. But most of all, thank you for your view. I love that little saying. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. And if you're new to my stories, there should be a link in the description. Massive playlist. I've said it before. Some are great, some are good, some are meh. They're all different. You can see them develop over time. I love last year's. Are they all interconnected? And hopefully I can bring more to you before FM24 comes out. So yeah, thank you. You stay happy, you stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.